You guys are looking great today. It's good to see you. All right. Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I wasn't looking for anything in return. It's totally fine. I'm confident. Anyway. So, yeah, welcome to Easter. This is going to be fun. The year was 44 BC. Shakespeare called it the Ides of March. It was actually a really interesting time in the Roman Republic because Caesar had just basically turned it into a dictatorship. If you've ever seen Shakespeare or read history, you might, well, if you read Shakespeare, you probably have no idea because no one understands it, but the idea was that Caesar basically consolidated all the power, became a dictator. They actually had a pretty successful republic going on. They had just gotten all these new senators. Things were looking very, very good. But when power goes to somebody's head, they will sometimes act like an authoritarian. So basically, Caesar consolidates all the power. It becomes a massive problem. So all the senators, again, Brutus, they get together, and they're like, we got to get rid of this guy. And they didn't do it civilly, obviously. They killed him, because that's what, sometimes you just got to take matters in your own hands, apparently, and that's where you get the et tu, Brute, because his best friend basically stabbed him in the back. It was wonderful. Caesar dies. Now, what they're thinking is essentially like, we're good. Like Caesar had done too much too fast. He put his face on a coin, which only at the time, like guys who thought they were gods would put their face on a coin. So like he was doing things that were like so far outside the norm that they had to get rid of him. Now they think, we've killed the guy, we're good, everything's going to be fine. And then they have this funeral for Caesar. Now the funerals back then were wild, especially someone like him. They parade him through the streets in the most like pomp and circumstance way imaginable. It was mad. They hired mourners. People were wailing in the streets and sobbing. The energy would have been palpable. Like you would have felt this thing. Like Caesar's dead. You would have felt this moment where like it feels like the can's about to open and it's going to just burst. Like you could feel it. And then the way the story goes is Antony gets up and he gives this eulogy for Caesar that completely shifts the culture. I mean, again, it was palpable. He gives this, and now what the senators thought was going to basically like calm everybody down, stop freaking out, like he's gone, we'll figure this out. What it actually did was it launched a civil war that ultimately birthed an empire. This is basically the start of the Roman Empire. They essentially killed a dictator and birthed the empire. Now this was in 44 BC. What's so interesting is that around 44 years later, this guy and his wasn't even his wife at this point, which is scandalous. If you want to know that story, come to Christmas. They give birth to this to their son. Now, her story goes that her and Joseph were never together. She's got this baby. It's a virgin birth. The whole thing's incredible. There's these shepherds on the countryside who the angels come down and freak them out. And so they're like, okay, we're going to follow the star. We're going to go, this whole thing. Now, it happens in this, like, just no-name place with countrymen. He's from a poor family. He ultimately becomes a carpenter. They think his dad was, so he kind of takes up his dad's business and then by like age 30, around the age 30, is when he knows that God has called him into ministry. And now this man, he starts saying things when he's preaching, like he's the Son of God. Like he starts telling people, like, no, I'm literally, like, I am one with God. Like when you see me, you've seen God. Now, when you're reading it on the pages, it feels like this isn't a problem. During this time, this was a massive problem. He's literally saying that he is like the Messiah. Now, this is the thing that they've been wanting to happen for like a couple thousand years. The people of Israel have been like, they know the Messiah is coming. But now you've got this guy who says he's from Nazareth, he's a carpenter, he's Mary and Joseph's son. Like, they know him. Like, he's kind of like just this like, what do you mean you're the Messiah? They just can't handle it. And so as the weeks go by, his popularity starts growing. He's showing up to weddings and like turning water into wine. It's like, what is going on? Like, this is nuts. He's going up to sick people. There are even like this one lady, she had this one issue that was lasting for like years. Like, no one could be near her. She touches just like the hem, it says the hem of his garment. Like his robe was trailing behind him. She just touches his robe and she's like miraculously healed. Like, this is, it's unbelievable what he's doing. It'll be Sabbath, and they're supposed to honor the Sabbath by not working. And so Jesus is going around, and on the Sabbath, the most holy of days, he's healing people. The religious leaders of the day, they start to feel this palpable energy when they go into cities and towns. They start to feel this, like, something is happening, that we're going to lose control of the church, the culture, if we keep allowing this guy to do this. They start complaining to Rome, and Rome's like, he's just some dude from the outskirts of town. Like, this can't be that much of a problem. Like, just relax. This will blow over. There's been plenty of them. Just like, let this thing go. But days go by, and it just keeps happening. He keeps getting more, like, the crowds keep growing. Like, everywhere he goes, people show up. And then finally, there's this one day, which we have called Palm Sunday. They didn't call it this then. Jesus didn't wake up in the morning and be like, all right, it's Palm Sunday, let's do this thing. That's not really how it went. But he shows up into the city, and at this point, he's at the height of his popularity. Now the streets are filled with people. He rides in on a donkey, which you can watch the sermon from last week, and you'll understand that maybe a little bit more. And again, it is like a can that has been shaken and it is about to burst. These people are crazy for this man. It's almost to the point where it feels like a revolution can happen at any moment. And they know from culture that, like, once a revolutionary shows up on the scene, you have to just kill it. Otherwise, it just turns the society upside down. And so what they do is they were really smart with this one, because what they did is they actually went to his inner circle. They found one of his best friends who was a little bit kind of on the outside. He wasn't always in on the inside jokes. He wasn't always invited to things. Like, he was just kind of there. His name was even weird because his name was Judas, and that's just an odd name. And so, like, they knew they found the guy. And so they call him in, and Judas was the money keeper. Like, he kept the money. So, like, they know, okay, you get the finances, you kill the thing. And so they bring him in, and Judas agrees. What's so odd is, like, he agrees for basically the money they had in their pockets that night. He gets together with the religious leaders. He's like, all right, I'll do this thing with you. I just need a little bit of money. They gave him like 30 like coins or whatever. It's basically a day's wages. He could have gotten way more if he shopped around, but he didn't. And so he's like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring you to him. The man I kiss, which, again, odd way to do it, okay, is the guy you're going to betray. And so Jesus is praying in the garden with his disciples because he knows something's going down. And it shows up. Judas comes with all these soldiers. His disciples are like, what in the heck is going on? If you read it, Peter took a sword and like cut a guy's ear off. He's like, we're going down with the ship. Let's do this thing. And then Jesus like relax, touches the guy's ear and heals it, which is also crazy story. Anyway, Judas goes up to Jesus in the most awkward moment in all of human history and kisses the guy. And for whatever reason, that was like this is the man. They arrest Jesus. And now what's so interesting is similar to Caesar. They parade him through the streets at this point he's not even dead. They parade him through the streets with the cross on his back. He's carrying it himself. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are out of their homes watching this thing go down. Some people are mad. Some people are screaming at him. Some people are sad. People are confused, trying to figure this thing out. But the way the Romans look at it, at least we're going to squash this revolution. The Jewish leaders are like, at least we're going to have our church back. At least we can finally kill this thing. So they bring him out. They nail the guy to a cross. And at that moment, if you read it, it's as if silence came over everything. Scripture says the world actually got dark. And if you could just sit with the silence. In the Jewish leader's mind, it's done. Everybody can go home. Even his followers, no one was left. Only a couple people stayed at the cross. And if you could think to yourself, they're probably thinking like, it was fun. Like, we had a great run. He did a lot of really cool things. He said a lot of really good teachings. He healed some people. That was a lot of fun. I feel like I learned a lot. Like, Peter's probably like, I walked on water. Like, that was really cool. I don't know if I'll ever get to do that again. And they're like walking home, scratching their heads, like, dang, that was fun. And in the culture's mind, it's like, it's over. He's gone. The Rome started doing their thing again. The Jewish leaders were like, we finally got our church back. And now what his friends did that was still left, it was Mary Magdalene, and then his mother was there, his best friend John. They basically asked, like, hey, can we take the body and give it a proper burial? Like, at least we're going to give this guy some decency and respect as he goes. He meant that much to me. We just want to give him some decency and respect. So they bury him. Then the craziest thing happens. Because they start to hear some rumors that, like, a couple days later, the tomb had been, like, opened, and the body wasn't there, and they're like, what in the world is going on? Like, someone stole it. And if you read in John chapter 20, the first, like, few verses, it says that, like, Peter and John wrote the story, by the way, they run. They take off out of the house they were hiding in, and they literally race. And it is a race because what ends up happening is, the way John writes it, is they're running, and Peter's actually winning the race. And then John writes, which is so funny, he's like, so the disciple whom Jesus loved, which is him, sped up a little bit and beat him to the tomb. These guys were, like, ecstatic about going. They race. It's such shade that we get to read about. I mean, I don't think they liked each other. But anyway, they race to the tomb. They look inside. The scripture says they don't see anything, and so they just run home. Now, Mary Magdalene is an interesting person in this story. She's not as fast as Peter and John, but she shows up to the tomb, and it says this in John chapter 20. It says, now Mary stood outside the tomb crying. I love how it says that. If you read the few verses before that, Peter and John racing like maniacs. But there's something about Mary where she stood there crying. Now, what you need to understand before you even read further, like Mary, when she met Jesus, like she truly became a different person. Mary Magdalene was the type of lady who they called her demon possessed. Like they wouldn't even go near her during that, like before she met Jesus. She was literally out of her mind. She came for money, but her mind was completely screwed up. They couldn't go near her. She meets Jesus. Jesus looks her in the eyes and completely heals her. So for this woman, she doesn't have a life without this man who's supposed to be in this tomb. So when she stands at the tomb, she's thinking about how special this man is to her. And now she's thinking to herself, we can't even get a place to go to be near his body. Now we've lost that. And so she stands there and she's crying. As she wept, she bent over to look in the tomb. And then it gets crazy because Peter and John are already gone. They missed the whole thing. 2 angels were seated where Jesus' body had been. One at the head, the other at the foot. They asked, woman, why are you crying? She says, they've taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they've put him. At this, she turned around, and she saw Jesus standing there. But she didn't realize that it was Jesus. For he asked her, woman, why are you crying? Who is it that you're looking for? And thinking he was the gardener, she said, sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you've put him, and I'll get him. Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned around. She cried out in Aramaic, Rabboni, which actually means teacher. And Jesus says, don't hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I'm ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, I've seen the Lord, and she told them that he had said these things to her. It's so interesting to me that the disciples, they raced, but Mary lingered. And you know, the theme of what we're kind of talking about is like no other king, because what's so wild about Jesus is that like no other king would meet this type of grief with grace. Like no other king would do that. You know, I don't know if you have kids. I've got 3 kids. They are like 10, 8, and 4. And I'm just like not an empathetic person, I think, is what the issue is. Like, I people are crying, and it's just like, oh, please, just relax, okay? Just calm down. Like, stop crying. Like, stop. I'll literally tell my kids, don't be crying. I'll be like, stop crying. Nothing's that serious. Why are you crying? One time, my son, I think he like threw up or something. It was like really bad. He's sick. It's like disgusting. And like we weren't ready for it. I don't know if you've ever been surprised by sickness, but like, and if I'm not ready for something, I just don't respond well. So I think it was him. He like throws up, and I just start yelling. Like I can't even help myself. I told him to go to his room. Like I'm sending him to his room because I can't handle it. Like so I'm like, just go to your room. And Esther's like, my wife, she's like, what are you doing? He's sick. Like calm down. Go give him a hug. And it's like, okay, but I'm freaked out. And so, and like, if I'm in public and there's like, we're at a restaurant and another kid is crying, oh my gosh, I can barely handle my own children. And then a stranger's child is crying. It's like you just sit at the booth and you're just like, why don't they just make them stop? Why don't they just make the kids stop? Like, just leave. This isn't the restaurant for them. Just go somewhere else. Go through a drive-through if you can't handle it. Or kids just like running around, running amok in a restaurant. It's like, and I just, like, there's just something about it that just like, I'm working through it. But like you would think, like when you read this, Mary's crying, and now she sees the two angels, which would have been shocking enough. She doesn't she doesn't even like wonder for a moment. And they're like, why are you crying? And she doesn't stop and pause and like realize that these are like angels. We don't know what they look like. And she just explains, well, someone took him and he's gone. And then she literally, Jesus shows up behind her. And he doesn't say, yo, get it together. Like, woman, relax. Like, get a grip. Like, why are you crying? Just look at me. I'm here. Like, stop. Whoa. Wipe the tears. Stop crying. It's not worth it. Don't you realize you're in the presence of now a God? Like, God has shown up. Like, stop crying. That's not what he does. He's like, he asks her. And, like, if you just read it, like I read it, you're like, woman, why are you crying? But part of me wonders if he, like, slowed down. Like, he's walking by. He thinks, maybe for a moment, this is going to be spectacular. I'm going to, like, scare her. She's going to jump for joy. It's Jesus! And then as he gets closer, he starts to, like, hear, like, the loud sniffles and sobs of a broken woman. And part of me wonders if Jesus kind of, like, slowed down and realized, well, party's not going to happen like I thought it would. Now, again, this is, like, the only person who has claimed that they are God, they died, and they rose from the dead. Earth-shattering moment, changes the course of human history. And the first thing he does is he shows up to his tomb where there's a woman crying. This isn't how you would write it up. It's not how you would do it. First of all, during this time, women had literally no place in society. They didn't have a voice. They didn't own property. Their only way in with access was to have a husband. It was an oppressive society for women. And the guys, they were too much in a hurry. They didn't linger at all. They could have had this moment. They could have been there. But no. Life's too busy. Got to get to the next thing. Mary lingers, and she's broken. And Jesus just pauses and says, oh, why are you crying? Is everything okay? And part of me wonders, like, when's the last time I've allowed myself to kind of just, like, linger with my brokenness? When's the last time I've allowed myself to just sit with the fact that I just don't have it together? I feel like we spend so much time trying to shape a life that looks like we've got it all together. I got to buck up. I got to pull myself up by my bootstraps. I got to take a deep breath. I got to, like, just suck it all in. No tears. Men don't cry. Strong women don't cry. Like, no brokenness. I need God to be proud of me. And we've crafted this whole life thinking that this king that we serve is searching for perfection. But no other king is willing to meet you in your brokenness. No other king goes out of their way to find you in your deepest periods of grief. There's no other king. There's no other king who's willing to show up at your worst moment. He is ready and willing to move past the things that have beaten you down, dragged you along, and made you feel like you're about this big on the inside. And he shows up with a smile on his face. No other king would do that except Jesus. The other crazy thing is just the way that he appears, because no other king would have appeared so discreetly. I just picture like Abraham and Moses up in heaven, and before they even start, they're like, all right, this is how this is going to go down. And it's like they get the JBL speaker. I think there's a meme that we made. It's like, and he's like, okay, get this, Jesus. Like, we're going to put Fetty Wap on. That song's not out yet, but it's going to crush in 2025. And, like, we're going to come in, and it's going to be unbelievable. You soar down into the temple. You crush it. Like, I know you flip tables, but imagine what a resurrected Jesus would do. Just fly down from heaven with, like, some Avengers fist, blast through the roof, and just wreck everyone. It's over. Game, set, match. You could picture, like, Moses and Abraham kind of fist bumping in heaven. Be like, this is going to be amazing. Like, I can't believe we're going to get to watch this. This is going to be nuts. If Caesar had his funeral, and it was, like, so majestic and big, like, Jesus has to do something that, like, shifts the narrative. He's got to do something that proves that he's the guy. He's got to do something. It's like if you played sports in high school, there was something about like and now I know I don't look it, but I did. And the most important part was like the walkout music. Like you needed like a good song. And when I was in high school, it was like anything by Eminem just got everybody just jazzed to be there. And so it just needed to be something that went hard, that made people know that even though you're short, you're scary. And it was like this whole thing. And so like you get yourself in the locker room, you're like getting jacked up, you're like punching lockers. It's like just stupid. And you're playing volleyball. And then you like, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so, but like there's something about the walkout. It's just like, oh, we're going to get jacked. This is going to be amazing. And then you want to kill people. It's awesome. And so you're thinking like, it's the resurrection. Like we're going to come down. We're going to make some noise. This is going to be crazy. They're not ready. Like Pontius Pilate thought. He thought he knew. But we're going to go back into the same spot where they tortured you. We're going to go back into the same spot where they were like spitting on you. We're going to go back to the same spot. They're not ready. And you could just feel like you could just almost feel the anticipation of what this moment's going to be like. And like God's like, no. This is what we're going to do. We're going to show up to the very place where he was buried. No one even knows where it was. We're going to show up at the garden. He's at least going to have like armor and like a sword. You know, give him, like, he's got to have his chariot, his white horse, and a trumpet. Like, he's going to show up, and it's going to be like, you know, he's going to ride in. At least maybe he'll pick someone up on the way. I don't know what we're stopping in the garden for. This doesn't make any sense. And they're like, no. He's going to look like a gardener. They won't even know it's him. No one would write it this way. Like, no one would do that. Like, we've seen enough movies. No, this is a terrible plan. Like, this is not how you do this. And it's so discreet that, like, he shows up, and Mary hears his voice, and she thought he was the gardener. That's how discreet the King of Kings comes in. No other king would do this. No other king would be willing to show up. But the thing that's so wild about the way Jesus works, he is not concerned with the show. He is not concerned with the pomp and circumstance. He's not concerned with like just doing things for the sake. He's not concerned with the feeling and the goosebumps and he's not concerned about any of that. He wants to meet with individuals. Like no other king does this. Like, and I almost feel like John purposely, when he wrote this, put this in there because it's so interesting to me that he was like mistaken for a gardener. It's almost like a play on the whole situation. Because if you don't know this, like Jesus is considered the second Adam. And like when Adam and Eve were in the garden, you know, like she ate the fruit and it was like, oh, what a terrible mistake. He ate it too. He's the same like fool. Anyway, so they ruined the whole thing. Everything about the relationship that we were supposed to have with God was ruined with Adam and Eve. And now Jesus shows up as the second Adam, mistaken as a gardener. And I think John knows what he's writing. It's like you think that your life is too mundane. You think your life is too broken. But the gardener is here to cultivate something out of the dirt that you have found yourself in. And she looks at him and she thinks, like, no, just go keep tilling the soil. And in his mind, he's like, no, I'm about to. Like, I'm actually about to do for you what no one else in the world can possibly do. I'm going to change your life. And this is what's amazing is that no other king would get this personal. Because again, we live in a world that is looking for political power. It's like every year it feels like we're inching towards a more deified version of a leader. Like, because we're starving for someone to just have power. We live in a world where we would write the story where, like, if you were to come back, you'd show up to the most influential person. You'd show up to the one who's got it all together. You'd show up to the one with the most influence, the most power, the most money. Like, we live in a world where we get so preoccupied that we can't linger. Yet there's no other king that gets as personal as Jesus did. Because again, he was supposed to declare war. Like every character, even if you just think they're stories that don't make any sense, every character in the Old Testament that was like the leader, it was crazy. Like they were violent killers, and they loved it. Like David was he loved war. Like, let's go and decimate as many people as we can. Like, this is the picture of a king. It's like you ride in and we are going to war. That's what would have been like seemingly appropriate. And Jesus shows up. And because she was willing to linger, what's wild is that all he needs to do is whisper her name. Because remember, she met him. Like, she's known this guy. Like, she's been following him for 3 years. Like, she knows him. The fact that she doesn't recognize him is just, but who would have thought? They didn't know what he was saying when he kept saying weird things. Like, when I come back, they don't know what he's talking about. It's like Jesus just going off and saying things again. Like, we don't get it, but it's awesome. So she's not expecting him to show up. And then she doesn't get it until I love that it just says, and he was like, Mary. And at that moment, you can almost picture the hair on the back of her neck standing up. Like she's heard it said that way before. Like a lot of people say her name, but she knows that voice. She knows what she knows. Like now it's like, and you can almost feel every moment of her life flashing before her eyes when he says that name. No other king would get this personal. There's no crowd. There's no music. There's no phones. This isn't some moment that should have gone viral. This isn't it. This is just a guy and this woman who has no voice in any part of society. And this is how he decides to show up. And he does what he's always done. And he just says her name. Who knows the last time somebody said her? Most people probably just make eye contact with her and start talking. Most people are like, oh, Mary? Yeah, she's a little odd. But this was different. You see, Caesar died to save a republic and actually birth an empire. Jesus died and it actually births the church. No other king would start a revolution with just a name. And that's exactly what Jesus did. And I'm here to tell you that he's still doing it today. You may find yourself in the most broken of circumstances. Your insecurities keep getting the better of you. Your anger keeps getting the better of you. The way you look at yourself, your shame, your guilt, it's all there. To the point where it's almost like you just stop recognizing everything around you. You've been sick for years, and you found yourself at the height of brokenness. You try not to tell anybody. You don't want to put it out there. I'm here to tell you today that there is a God in heaven who is still turning worlds upside down just by knowing your name. I want you to know that the God in heaven, he is actually incredibly serious about saying your name. There's a God in heaven who wants to so intimately be involved in your life that everything you're carrying, all your pain, all your regrets, all your shame, he's not standing there waiting for you to turn around and be like, when are you going to get it together? When are you just going to recognize that I'm finally going to be the right way? He's not a God who's looking up at heaven right now, turning to people and be like, can you believe that they're acting this way? Can you, like, oh my, like, this is what I died for, so that she or he can do that? No. He's the God who has stooped down to your very level, and he's been doing it for all of human history. And rather than pointing the finger at you, he just simply says your name. Hey, why don't you just recognize the fact that I'm here? Like, my grace is actually sufficient. Like, my power is actually made perfect in your weakness. Like, what if Jesus was actually just up there and being like, no, you might think it's a mistake that I look like the gardener, but even now, I want to till the soil of your broken soul. I want to be to you what no medication could do, which sometimes it's good, you should be on it if you need it. What no therapy could do, which is sometimes good, maybe you need it. I want to do for you what no alcohol could do, what no drugs could do, what no Netflix could do, what no more schooling could do, what no work could do. I'm going to do for you what nothing in human history could possibly do. I'm going to give you peace for your chaotic soul. Caesar's death brought chaos. The death of Jesus brought everlasting peace for the human soul. The death of political leaders always brings what's next. The death of Jesus, it brought hope to the human soul. I don't know what king you are chasing after today, but I can promise you there is no other king that can bring peace, joy in the midst of chaos, hope when everything seems hopeless, acceptance when everybody else is rejecting, security, even though when everything inside of you says you should be insecure. A king who takes away shame, a king who takes away guilt, and simply calls you by your name. He says, daughter, come in. Son, come in. What I have for you is better than gold. It is better than wine. It will give you freedom for your soul. The last thing that Syracuse needs is political revolution. The last thing, even though it'll help, that Syracuse needs is Micron building a factory, even though, for the love of God. What Syracuse needs is Jesus and him alone. Like Jesus plus nothing will give us everything that we need. Your family, as much as you want the promotion, it doesn't need the promotion. It needs Jesus. As much as you want the better house, you need Jesus. As much as you want things to work out, you ultimately, without Jesus, it is all pointless. So we don't know what brought you in here today. We don't know what got you here. I know it's Easter, so it's like this is the day. But I want you to know that heaven is smiling because it's like a plot twist of the century that no other king would show up this way. And they're looking down and be like, we're going to get another one today. They're not ready for it, but Jesus is right behind you saying your name. The question is, will you recognize freedom when it's calling to you? So Jesus, we thank you that you truly are like no other king. We thank you that you are personal. We thank you that you don't need to show up to a show, but God, you meet us right where we are at. And God, it is no mistake that you are sometimes recognized as a gardener, because sometimes all we need is to give you access to the dirt of our soul, and you make wonder out of it. So God, for every soul in this room today, God, we ask that your Holy Spirit would show up and meet us right where we are at. And maybe you're here today and you have never started a relationship with Jesus. I can promise you, he is like no other king. He demands everything, but he loves you. It'll change the very course of your life, but it's always for the better somehow. And if that's you, you don't need to do anything weird. You can just kind of put your hands out in front of you. We'll try to connect with you in some way. And it's Jesus, I ask you to show up and get personal to me. I ask you to show up to the dirt of my soul, to the shame that I carry, to the guilt in my heart, to the pride I can't let go of, to the ego, for chasing after all these other kings. Jesus, today that your Holy Spirit would help me to chase after you. I recognize today that you are like no other king. And I want to give my entire existence to you. In Jesus' name.